Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Web ROI Tip of the Week. My name is Jason Gervais. I'm the president and CEO of Web ROI. And today I have joining me our new in-house marketing specialist, Lindsay Pacheco. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us today, Lindsay. So today's topic is in line with this week's blog post, which is about social media marketing, in particular, using a tool to help you organize your social media marketing and schedule out posts, track how people are engaging with you, and things like that. So we wanted to dive into that and talk about why it's so important to use these tools for your social media marketing. Now, Web ROI, we're a full service digital marketing company. We always say that where you should start your online marketing for most businesses is with search. They're more likely to go to a search engine, type in a keyword, than they are to go and try and find some company on social media. However, social media is phenomenal at engaging with your audience. And today we're sitting down with Lindsay and we're going to talk about that in some detail and go over this unique process. So Lindsay, just to start off, what sort of prep work do people need to be thinking of in order to implement a social media strategy and these tools that they might be needing?
So before you begin kind of searching for the tools that you're going to use for social media, you're going to want to ask yourself and even your team kind of 3 important questions that'll help streamline that process for you. So the first one being, what are you looking to accomplish with your social media marketing efforts? So what goals and results do you want? So it's very important to go ahead and set those first. That's the very first thing you want. And then the second one, you're going to want to ask yourself, why are you looking for a new tool? So is this because your tool that you're using currently is not working for you, or are you looking for something that you want to schedule posts? So defining that is very important. And then lastly, it's what kind of experience do you want your social media team to have with the platform? Are they going to be using it daily? Are they going to be using it weekly? And so on. So I would define those 3 questions just right off the bat as your prep work.
So Lindsay, how would a business go about defining the answers to those questions that you've said above?
So within your business, you're going to want to pick a team that's going to be working with the tool itself. So kind of your social media team. You're going to sit down with them and define those 3 questions. You're going to want to make sure that your team is kind of all on the same page and ready for the next step, which is defining what features you want.
How does a business define the features that they're looking for, especially if they're not sure what they want?
The most important thing to remember is to not go into a search blindly. Sit down with your social media marketing team, that team that you grabbed for those questions. Sit down with them and make a list of features that you deem are most important to the success of your strategy. So if you're not sure what the features you're looking for are, research is going to be your best friend. You're going to want to research what other businesses are doing, how businesses have become successful. So you can do that through case studies and videos and so on. So if you're unsure of what features you want or need, what you should do is write down the most important social media features you think you need, sit down with your team, review that list, go over the ones that you think are going to be most important from that list, and just circle them. This will give you the basis to start looking for tools that follow the exact feature you need. For example, if auto scheduling is an important feature, you're going to want to look for something like Hootsuite. So you would circle that with your team and move on to the next step, which is why clarity is so important in this step. You're going to want a solid foundation before you begin any search on specific tools. So with that being said, there are 2 features, and especially if you're unsure of kind of what features you're looking for, this is kind of a good basis to start. So there are the nice to have features, then there's the must have features. So you're going to want to define what those nice to have features are and those must have features are when you're going about this list. And then that way you can better streamline your process.
So a business has sat down, they've hashed out all these important features of what they need. But then what? You've got a list. Maybe the list is actually really long. Maybe it's too long to even be able to deal with. So how does a company deal with all that?
Research is the most crucial step here. You're going to be researching many tools, and some of them are going to sound extremely alike, which is okay. A lot of the platforms out there have similar features and then one or two distinct features that set them apart from each other. It's going to be your job to kind of cut those tools out that will not serve you based on those goals, results, and the list you created in the previous steps. The best thing to do is to research on Google, YouTube, and even Reddit some of those things. If you do have an extremely long list of features, Googling, researching will help you wean out those really long lists that you have. So if you have a list of 5 to 7, then you're kind of good to run along to the next step of the process.
Well, it seems like a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort that needs to go into that. A lot of companies don't necessarily have the internal resources to deal with that much planning and doing research and preparation.
Right.
How would you recommend that a company deal with that?
Well, it's definitely important to set out a schedule that allows for this research time. Since research is one of the most important parts, you definitely don't want to start using a tool without having that research to back it up and then realizing it's not really working for your company and then having to go back to square one. It does sound like a very long process and a little bit tedious to do, but it's such a crucial part in the step of choosing a tool that I wouldn't want to change your research time. So definitely having a team divvying out those roles and setting time aside would be important and kind of necessary to do.
And if a company doesn't have a team or marketing expertise in house, these are the kind of offerings that companies like WebROI or other marketing agencies would be able to help them with the strategy and selecting the right tools, and in many cases even doing the ongoing activity of creating the content and nurturing the audience that you're trying to attract, so that the business
Mhm.
owner or internal resources of the company don't necessarily have to be extended toward that marketing if they're working with an outside partner.
Exactly. So at this time, if you find like my team doesn't have the bandwidth for this, certainly there's other places that you can go to, like WebROI, to help kind of choose a tool and even streamline that process further into implementing it and working it out themselves.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of information available with different features and benefits on different platforms out there.
Mhm.
How do you ultimately choose what to start with?
The next step in the process would be evaluation. So you want to evaluate your research and compare it to your short list of features that you have, compare it to those goals and those results you set out in the first step as well. So in this step, it's important to have a group of people with a variety of roles and responsibilities to help evaluate your short list. Once your evaluation is done, you are likely left with less tools than when you started off with in the beginning, which is great. Your team is going to start to learn about tools. They're going to get a feel for what they want and how they're going to work with it.
Why would you say it's important to have a variety of roles and responsibilities to evaluate your shortlist?
So this is important because you'll be getting different perspectives from different people who play different roles within the business. So having multiple people look at it at different angles without bias will be good to see what works for who and why, and help you to create a team that will use the software itself.
After you evaluate it with your team, then what's left to do?
The last step is probably the most fun yet time consuming part of the process, which will be testing. So once you are left with 1 to 2 tools on your short list from the step before, you're going to want to test out and see which one best fits your team. Most tools have free trials. So you're going to want to go ahead and start a free trial for 1 or 2 of those tools that are on your shortlist and go ahead and do it for the full trial. Usually this is about 2 to 4 weeks of trialing that you're going to want to do. Have each person of the team kind of use the tool and ask themselves questions as they go through. So these kinds of questions would be, how is my experience using the platform? Was the analytics and reporting good, especially if that's something that's important and that you deemed important to yourself and to your team? Was team collaboration easy, especially if there's a lot of people working on the team? Was it easy to work with your teammate through this tool? Was communication flow good or not? Was customer support effective, especially if it's a tool that you're going to be using in the long run? You're going to want that customer support to be on your side. And if you have any questions, they be readily available to you. How is security? Is security a big factor for you within the platform? And probably one of the most important questions that I say would be, how are the integrations? Does it integrate with your CRM? Does it integrate with any other process of your business? Because if you can have integrations, that definitely makes your business and your team have an easier time using the tool for social media and maybe sales and marketing as well. So after all this is done and your team has decided on platform, then you're kind of ready to make a full switch to the social media tool or kind of start to implement that tool itself.
Well, it seems like a really long process.
Yeah.
Um, lots of demand there for people on the team or external partners in social media
Mhm.
marketing. And
It is definitely a long process. Choosing a tool, it's not something that's short, especially because social media is kind of like that crucial part of brand awareness and engaging with your clients and your followers and kind of just establishing yourself as an authoritative voice within your industry. There are companies out there that will do this for you. You like WebROI that handles stuff like this. Even going through the process, you're going to figure out if it's something you can handle and if it's something that you can't.
it's one thing for a company that goes out and hires a marketing specialist.
Mhm.
A marketing specialist, typically like yourself, for example, would have certain skill sets and certain capabilities that you would bring to the table to that company, and you might be able to strategize and implement a successful social media campaign, but you're also limited by your own expertise and by your own number
Right.
of hours. So unless they have the capability to invest in building a whole internal marketing department,
Mhm.
for the cost of hiring that one person, they could actually work with a supplier that specializes in that, and that's what we do. That's where we come in. And if any of our audience are interested in having a simple introductory phone conversation with me to see if we could help you with something like this, be happy to do so. You can access my calendar through the blog or the email. That's it for this week, folks. I thank you very much for taking the time to tune in, and stay tuned next week for our next blog and video series. We'll look forward to chatting with you then. Have a great week, everyone.